So this review, I'm really just going to be discussing the major plot points in this chapter because this was so jam-packed as a chapter. So many emotions I felt reading this. A lot of surprises I didn't expect whatsoever, and some pretty interesting conclusions to characters and possibly character arcs. Gege be knowing what he doing, man. He said last chapter of the year, let me drop something special real quick. And by the way, before this video starts, I just want to say to the people who read the leaks, and sadly, I was spoiled on something in this chapter. I guess it was no way I was going to avoid it. But to the people who then proceeded to overreact without having any context as to what they're looking at, and then didn't tag their spoilers, which hit a lot of people. First off, shut up, bitch! And do us all a favor and just read the story, bro. It ain't that difficult. So last chapter ended with Kenjaku using a mini Uzumaki on Yuki twice, one to the face and one to the stomach, which pierced her and left her as a walking donut. First, let's talk about the end of Yuki and what looks like to be her death. Let's go ahead and get into what's probably the most controversial thing that happened in this chapter. So Yuki, as of right now, is indeed dead. The damage that the mini Uzumaki did was just too much, and as I said in the last video, there's just no way she could heal because Kenjaku just wouldn't allow her to just sit there and use reverse curse technique. But the way she went out was crazy. After Tengen forces Choso out of the barrier, as Tengen and Yuki saved Choso. And I want to talk about Choso's character after this. But Yuki, while cut in half, grabs Kenjaku's legs and creates a black hole with Bambaye because the density she's imbuing has no limits, thus creating an immense mass so dense that she creates a black hole. And black holes are basically an immense amount of gravity that just suck up anything that's in its way and you really can't get out. And we get this epic double spread of Yuki literally destroying the tomb of the star. And like I said in the last video, if Yuki wasn't in the tomb, Bambaye would be a walking disaster. Imagine this thing out in Tokyo. The world, like Kenjaku said, would probably be finished. But Kenjaku survived it with anti-gravity system, which was Kaori Itadori's, Yuji's mom's technique. And the gravity he was using was actually technique reversal. The first time we've seen it since Gojo. And I want to talk about really the emotional and the feeling of Yuki's death. Like most JJK deaths, there's this sense of tragedy, but it's not overblown with an emotional effect. I guess the best way to describe it is a lot of the deaths come off as natural and just blunt. Like, this is what happened to him. Like, the way Yuki went out was very just, I didn't expect, like, seeing her cut up in half was just like, wow, that's a hell of an image for who we presume as probably the second strongest sorcerer, you know, after Gojo. So she's chopped up. Like, there's no crying, there's no like additional effect. It's just she's gone. And I think Yuki's death did feel premature, but not in a sense of, oh, she needed to be around longer, but in a sense of information. I would have liked to see her domain expansion as well as her life as a star plasma vessel and how it was growing up like that. And why was she staying away from the Tokyo school and the Jujutsu's higher ups? Like, I want to see those aspects and like what Yuki was doing while she was away. But I guess in a way, Gege could go back and tell that flashback or story maybe through a different person, like maybe Toto or something like that. But those were the main key points I was really interested in hearing from Yuki. As for going away from cursed energy, I wouldn't really say that's something we should have seen, because realistically, her doing that would mean Kenjaku failed. So that I didn't expect to see. But what we got from Yuki as a character from her introduction in Toto's backstory up until now has been fantastic in my opinion. There is still a part of me that thinks we will get more from Yuki in some sort of capacity. And a quote from Yaga in chapter 3 was, "A sorcerer never dies without regrets." That quote still holds weight with a lot of deaths in the series. And I think this one stands out the most because she didn't die immediately after her final words, like the words she gave Choso, but in more so of a tenacious way of trying to take out Kenjaku no matter what, because this is such an intense and dire situation. And I kind of think to myself, did Yuki go out with any regrets as to how she approached the situation, or was this her final way of saying, this is the best I could do at this given time? But if this is truly the end, because I know there's still some people coping that she's alive, but off like the 1% chance that she's alive, great character, she's top 2, best girl hands down. She lived up to the hype as a sorcerer and as a character in the world of JJK. Also, I gotta say, those Star and Stripe and Yuki being the same takes are so fucking stupid, and whoever says that need to be struck down ASAP. I need to stop seeing those. Now I want to talk about Choso's character arc, where it's at in the development that he got this chapter. Choso was already in the top 10 for me as a character, but man, he might have risen again, and his stock has keep growing in this whole section of the Culling Games with the Kenjaku POV. The conversation in the bar, which was created with the Senyata barriers, was first of all funny as hell because it threw me off for a second. And seeing Tengen as a bartender in a suit was something I didn't think I'd need to see. Choso and Yuki dressed up looking like they was on a date for real. But the main point of this conversation was humans and curses. And I love the dialogue from Choso. He takes the burden of what's happened to his brothers deeply, asking himself, why didn't he just go the human route of things? Why didn't he protect his brothers more than he should have? Was really hitting the feels because Choso cares deeply about his brothers, and when he's talking about him going the curse way of things and how that led to Yuji killing his own brothers and Choso nearly killing Yuji in Shibuya, which led to Yuji being at his lowest state as a person, it feels so much more impactful with these thoughts of Choso added upon it. And I love how Yuki in this conversation is really understanding Choso as a person here. Even though he's a hybrid, she realizes Choso is so much more human than he is a curse at this point. That this is the one moment she knew if she had a chance, she'd save Choso. Plus, Choso felt that Yuji was left by himself when he believes that their original fate was all four of them fighting together. It was a very insightful conversation for Choso, and a conversation that can pull on a lot of heartstrings and added even more to Yuki's death. And Choso living after all of this lets us know that Gege still has more he wants to do with Choso, and I'm all for it because Choso provides so much more now than before. Kenjaku using anti-gravity mechanism or system. Another big reveal, at least to me, was him using this, and this being Kaori Itadori's technique, which Kenjaku inhabited, and the gravity technique he used was technique reversal. I gotta say, I'm so interested in learning just like how far can Kenjaku go with it, because I'm gonna make a video later about the body swapping ability and that it might be a little bit more dangerous than we think. But I saw some people call this an asshole, by the way, and that it's an asshole that he can do this, which I don't think it is, considering Gojo at like 16 to 17 was able to figure this out, and Kenjaku, who has like thousands of years of knowledge, knowing how to do this isn't shocking. If anything, I would expect he knows how to do this. Is it coincidental that Kenjaku's anti-gravity reduced the damage on himself from the black hole? In a way, yes, but at the same time, Yuki counters Kenjaku's curse manipulation. Matchups have always been a thing in JJK, so it is what it is on that. I don't think that's really a big deal. Plus, Yuji is one of the few characters who can actually damage Mahito's soul. Is it somewhat of a coincidence? Yes, but it fits the story and the narrative, so it doesn't really hurt the story or the characters. But this changes a lot because the anti-gravity, I wonder if how far can you go with that? Because if he can use the regular gravity with technique reversal on top of this, Kenjaku's arsenal is just, I still think we haven't seen the full extent of it. It's unbelievable that this was in his back pocket at any given time. And I think with this alone, I want to see more from Yuji now. Hopefully we get Yuji sometime early next year, because with everything with Choso, and now Choso has the burden of Yuki, and now with Kenjaku using Yuji's mother's technique at his own disposal and will, like, I have to see Yuji, and I want him to learn all of this stuff and what his reaction would be to this. How would it affect him emotionally, and how much would it show that he's changed from Shibuya, learning all the people that died because of Sukuna, and now getting this information about Kenjaku and everything that he's tied to with him and the things that he did to his family. I want to see how Yuji would react to what the circumstances is at this point. And last but not least, Tengen's farewell. And Kenjaku has completed his mission, walks into the Tomb of the Star Corridor, 3v1, no problem, drop 40, smoked that pack, and left. But for real, Tengen's fake body disappeared, and in the tree that was destroyed from Yuki's black hole laid Tengen's real body, and it looks like a weaker relic version of Tengen that we saw. And Kenjaku says, "Farewell, my friend." And if this don't confirm that Kenjaku and Tengen had a close connection back in the day, I don't know what else does. Not to mention, before Tengen faded away, Kenjaku looked at Tengen's appearance, laughed, and made a comparison of Sukuna's full form in his head. And my mind is just racing, because is he trying to imply that she wanted a form similar to Sukuna's half human, half cursed appearance? I'm not sure, but if it's one thing I want and the real fandom wants, it's the Han era period flashback. And this would be the perfect time to delve into that at this point, given it looks like Kenjaku's about to capture Tengen and and create this huge cursed monster that he hypothesized. But what an impactful and noteworthy chapter to end the year. Yuki's death and Kenjaku getting ready to capture Tengen. Can't wait till next year to see what Gege has in store for the story and the rest of the coming game saga at this point. If you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe. I'll holler at y'all in the next one. Peace.